evening and welcome to Wanderings and Wool Gathering, episode 151. On tonight's episode, we are reviewing the latest from Aphex Twin. It is just an EP. It's not a full-length album, 4 songs, brand new. Aphex Twins should be excited, and we're going to be choosing some of our favorite songs that have samples from other songs in them. Leading into the show tonight was a little jam called Juno 19, and that is from our old friend JPP, otherwise known as the Phoenix Supernova. And that is from an upcoming project that he is working on. He wanted to share that tonight, and it fits in perfectly with Aphex Twin. It is right in the wheelhouse. So, to get started, joining me as always is the lovable one, Mr. Metalhead Mundy.
Step inside into his mind. It's boy band time. It's
Metalhead Mundy.
Lovable.
Hey, there he is.
Lovable.
Are you not?
I don't know who you've been talking to, but
Lacey.
I think they're lying to you.
Well, someone who's gruff but lovable is none other than Teabags.
Swinging deep into the valleys of Liptonia.
That's nasty.
Able to plunge from high altitudes only to land with a gentle splat.
That's nasty.
Receiving only the finest education from his instructor, Earl Grey. It's Teabags. Too hot for TV.
Hey guys.
He has landed with a gentle splat, and there he is.
Yeah. It's just we're one day away from Splatter Day. My favorite time.
I hate
Oh,
you.
boy.
That's it. We're removing him. Back to the green room for you, mister. Splatter Day.
Yeah.
Love
How's it going?
Great. It's going great. It's Friday night. This is weird for us. We have never, that I know of or can remember, done a show on a Friday night.
Well, you fill your weekend up with fun stuff, and you got to cram a show in somewhere.
That's
Fun
true.
stuff. What are you doing that's fun this weekend, Mr. Mundy?
Oh, some live music, sounds like maybe some boating, and some walking around, probably shopping, all kinds of fun stuff.
Sounds like a party. How about you, Teabags?
Oh, no, just hoping to get outside. It's been I feel like I've been trapped inside for months, so I'm going to try to walk the dog. Nothing exciting, but get outside. Monday, you said live music. Are you going to a specific show or just somewhere where there is live music?
Foggy and I are going to see Pantera and Lamb of God tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
That's where we're spending our Splatter Day. And then the very next day, Sunday, my lovely wife and I are headed down to Southern Indiana, Brown County, to see Ann Wilson of Heart.
Oh, well,
Yeah, that's going to be great. Great weekend for you and music. And if my iPad has service, maybe we'll do a quick live remote from Deer Creek tomorrow. Just for fun.
It's funny. I was actually thinking about that earlier. I was going to run that idea by you.
Yeah, should be fun. So, no music though, because we don't want to get kicked off. That's how it works.
Right.
Teabags, you had some fun news you were sharing with us a little bit ago. People are excited. Check it out. Oh, Teabags, yay. There we go.
Yeah. Not a phrase you want to hear from your sister, but yeah.
Nobody would have known, Tony. But
yeah. It's been a weird weekend because I'm capturing old, videotapes and stuff like that. And there was had a party for my mom back in the day that was like a 50s, 60s throwback party. And I filmed the whole thing, but I didn't realize how much my family danced because I don't dance for sure. Mm-hmm. But I text my mom because I'm like, I never wanted to see my mom dance to Baby Got Back, but here we are. So,
I saw a picture from that, and it looked like I was hanging out with Pony Boy. I'm like, what is this? I got a shirt on, the sleeves rolled up, and she's like, oh, it's that 50s party.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep, you just need your cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the news. For the last couple years, I've been listening to this guy named Easy Mill, rapper, and independent artist. And I started off listening to a song called IDK, and he had these really cool It was just independent, but the video was cool. His flow was cool. He would go so easily in out of his rap into song, back into rap. And so I'd say go back and check out the IDK video that they produced independently. But fast forward to, 2023, and it was announced that he just signed with Eminem and Dre. And actually, I think there's a song coming out with Eminem in August. So pretty cool to see an artist like stick to their guns, go through that independent route, and land on such a huge label with one of the biggest artists of all time.
Yeah, that will not hurt that single for him. Having Eminem on it.
No, the only problem with that is Eminem always outdoes everybody.
Right.
So you're gonna look second best on that track. But
Somebody wouldn't care if they get to sing alongside Eminem.
Yeah.
Like it would, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still a pretty large stamp of approval.
Mhm.
yes, 100%. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Nope.
it's worth checking out. And like I said, he's been on my playlist for a while. So it's just kind of cool, when you find music and then it gets to that level. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll put that in the comments. So if anybody would want to check out that video, they can just grab it from the comments. That'll be easier than having it on the screen.
sure.
Oh, anyway. All right. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Really? This was my challenge. So basically, it was kind of wide open. You could kind of go any route you wanted, but it was basically finding songs that had samples in them from other songs. Or I guess you could have looked at it in reverse, like a group that you love who had their song sampled by somebody else and kind of go about it a different way. But it's essentially same thing, songs
Yeah.
sampled in other music. So
Yep.
I came up with a couple. You guys come up with as many as you want. Let's get rolling. You got 4. I've got 4.
I think I have 5 or 6, but I'll make them quick.
Well, I'm gonna
Actually,
look. It doesn't matter.
technically I have 3 and a cheat. So I knew Teabags was coming, so I had a cheat.
Good call, Mundy.
Well, you know what, T-Bags? Let's have you go first then. You do 2, and then we'll kind of get back on track.
Okay. Let me lump these in together then. And this is kind of looking at it both ways.
Before
first
you
one
go, let's guess. Will any of us have the same song?
I don't think any of you will have mine.
I'm
I don't
going to
think-
say
no.
no. That we
There's
will not.
one possibility, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah.
My
I don't think
vote's
so.
0.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 2 that I could lump together and looking at it from both ways, one is Ring Finger by Nine Inch Nails, sampled Jane's Addiction, Had a Dad.
Mhm.
And I remember that being cool back in the day because it wasn't like a 20-year-old sample. He was like sampling from artists that were just as relevant, or if
Contemporaries,
not
yeah.
more at the time.
Yeah.
And then everybody's familiar with how it went down, but with Lil Nas X or whatever sampling Nine Inch Nails Ghost tracks for
Mhm.
Old Town Road,
Mhm.
and somehow getting Trent a country music award.
Mhm.
I thought that was a fascinating thing. But that story, what really resonates with me with that was, I don't know the behind the scenes, but up front in the public eye, Trent made it sound like I'm not trying to take this kid's, what he did away from him. And so let it be. We'll work out the details later. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did not
I
have
feel
either
like
one of those.
I feel like the Trent's reaction many moons ago could have been very different.
Mhm.
Totally. Yes. Yes.
But
And-
good for him.
Yes.
Sorry if I took your Old Town Road there, Jeremy.
Dag nabbit.
Did you do a Backstreet Boys song?
No.
Dang it. All right. Well, go ahead and go. What do you got?
So I'll throw my cheat out there first. Everything else is like sample, one artist sampling another artist.
Mhm.
My cheat was a band that has come up for me quite a bit lately. I've talked about them, I think, on the last few shows or several shows recently, but Wrathchild America.
Yes.
So on their album 3D from 1991, I specifically remember buying this album when we were on vacation in Pensacola, Florida. and I got the cassette and just listened to it like the entire week. It's one of my favorite 90s bands that nobody's ever heard of. But on this album, there is a song called What's Your Pleasure? And I mean, it's metal, it's heavy music. So there's not really any electronic stuff to sample in it, but they use dialogue from Hellraiser, the movie. Nice. The song is all about the Cenobites and Hellraiser, and like the movie 100% inspired the song, so they like kind of dropped in dialogue here and there. It's all Pinhead, you know, saying we'll tear your soul apart, and you know, stuff like that. But it's very cool.
That's cool.
That's awesome. That's not a cheat. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We could have done Project Renegade, the big boss, and all those. Yeah. I love that they sample those. It really sets it down. Okay, so my first one was Rhymin' and Stealin' by the Beastie Boys, sampling Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks.
Nice.
Yeah. Love
you son of a bitch.
You didn't have that, did
mine.
You? Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, I lost. I bet we'd have 0. Okay.
Did you?
I did.
This might be a dumb question because it's such a popular song, but did you know that that's what was happening when you listened to the Beastie Boys? Were you're already a Led Zeppelin person?
Yes. Oh, we were huge Zeppelin through middle school and high school.
I was like 9 years old when that came out, so no. I was not up on my Where the Levee Breaks.
We got really big into Zeppelin and the Doors during that time period. We were reading like all the Morrison books and, you know, just enamored with Jimmy Page and all that. So yeah, that was huge back in high school.
Gotcha.
School, so all right. So there's ours. Teabags.
So
what you got?
Okay. Are you wanting me to lump in 2 more?
Sure.
Okay. Same artist, different name. This person has the same artist, but they have 2 different names. But first, Tupac, Staring Through My Rear View, samples Phil Collins in the Air.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a good track. It works just as well. I mean, it's obviously not as good as the Phil Collins track as far as that type of music, but for rap, it's good. And then when he went to Machiavelli, he did a song called Toss It Up with Casey and JoJo.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, if you notice, they're talking about how they stole the beat from Blackstreet, No Diggity. And he's basically saying, like, we stole your beat because you wasn't rocking it right. That's what he said. And I thought it was pretty funny that just outright, I mean, that's how they were back then, right? So and he just says, yeah, I stole it. You just weren't doing it right. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right. Mundy, what you got? What's your number 3? Oh, shoot, I stole your 3. You can go again anyway if you want.
So, back in like probably, I don't know, 92, 93, 94, like me and JPP and like a bunch of our other friends were getting super deep into like industrial music. You know, the Ministry, 9 Inch Nails, KMFDM, all that kind of stuff. So with that, we kind of were listening to a little bit of techno as well. And we found this group called Utah Saints, who are fantastic. Just some classic old school techno stuff. On their debut album from 1993, I think it's self-titled, they have a song called I Want You, which blew my ever-loving mind because, I mean, it's like techno, dancey, super dancey stuff, no live instruments, and they sampled a riff from War Ensemble from Slayer.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I was like, what is happening? And it's so cool. So cool. So
That's
if
awesome.
you have not heard that, I recommend that. I Want You by Utah Saints. Sampled
Okay, I'm writing some of these down. So
yeah, I've never heard of that ever.
War Ensemble from Slayer. It's so cool.
That's awesome. All right. My number 2 was Too Short's Life is Too Short. I love that song. Sampled Schoolboy Crush from the Average White Band. That was just a cool tune back in the day, and
Yes.
a nice little fun sample that you didn't really put together at the time. So
No.
love that. We don't you don't hear from Too Short anymore.
No.
He
He's done
may
some stuff.
he may be popping up on that big tour that LL Cool J's doing.
Oh, really?
Because I think the whole thing with that is LL. I think there's like several staples on that tour, but then in every city they have different people popping in and out. I think, and I want to say I saw Too Short on that list. I might be
Awesome.
mistaken, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Teabags, you're up.
Okay. I've got 2 more left. Do you want me to do both of them or just?
I've got 2 more.
Okay.
I've got one. So
Sorry, I stole yours Monday. My bad.
That's it. Well, I'm just gonna go and do my 2, and we can work it out because they're the same artist. But
Okay.
Berserk by Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Billy Squire.
Yep, Sweet Square. Yep.
Yes, but I went and looked to see if there's any other samples because it feels like there's a bunch of stuff thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he sampled Kid Rock, but he didn't. He just references him in there.
Mm-hmm.
But he did sample Beastie Boys, and
Mm-hmm.
he sampled his own stuff. He sampled Without Me by Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sampled Naughty by Nature. So I didn't
I didn't
realize.
catch the naughty in there.
I didn't either. So there's a pretty cool site. I don't know what it is offhand, but it tells you at what time code in the song that sample comes up. So I was able to find out that, and I did not know that until today.
Huh.
And then So Far by Eminem. I really love it. It mostly samples the Life's Been Good by Joe Walsh.
okay.
Yeah.
But I could go down the list. There's a lot of different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 or 8 other samples in that song, including Walk This Way by Run DMC, and he samples himself again. So anyway, that I think
When you sample yourself, it's just being lazy. I don't want to write anything else.
I know.
Well, no, he
Yeah.
samples himself because he didn't use it right the first time.
Oh, there we go.
That's
Yeah.
right.
He's just getting better.
Yeah.
Self-improvement.
That's good. So anyway, that was off the Marshall Mathers 2 LP, I think, and kind of underrated in my opinion. I listened to that a lot.
Yeah. All right. I've got 2, so I'll do one. You do one. I'll finish Monday.
Sure.
Let's go with He Got Game by Public Enemy with Steven Stills singing and the samples from Buffalo Springfield. For what it's worth, obviously the entire song is essentially that song. So it's more than just a sample. The sample became the song, but it's great. And Steven Stills hitting those choruses were so good. And having Flav be his hype man. I mean, who would ever thought Flavor Flav would be the hype man for Steven Stills? It's so great.
I know.
But yeah, great song. I love that one. So Monday.
Good pick.
So I'm sticking with the industrial theme that I started. We also, in 1994, we discovered for ourselves, had already been around, but for ourselves, we discovered this little band called Frontline Assembly.
Yes.
And they are amazing, still making music. They had an album at that time called Millennium, and the title track samples the riff from, it's awesome, and I probably would have picked it anyway, but it's super relevant because we're seeing Pantera tomorrow, so they sample A New Level from Pantera.
Okay.
I think that's how Pantera starts the concert. Unless that was just at I looked up some of their set lists previously, but they were all at festivals.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just the 2 of them traveling, if it'll be any different, but that's what they opened the festival shows with.
That's cool.
All right.
And
We
they
shall
had-
see.
One thing that I hope is not going to be the case, on there it had Cemetery Gates and it had a video, like a VHS symbol, which usually means they play it like without them playing, like in an interlude or something. And I really don't want to hear Cemetery Gates as that. I want to hear, you know what I mean? So hopefully they'll play it live.
I don't know. I wonder if Phil can hit those notes anymore.
There's that.
I don't know, but don't you want to hear Zach play those notes? You know, I don't know. I'm hoping they play it. We'll find out tomorrow. So stay tuned next week and you'll find out if they played Cemetery Gates. Okay. So my final song is Hypnotize from Biggie.
Biggie, yes.
Love this song. And there are two samples that I know, and I think there were more, but they're kind of cool. So Lottie Dottie from Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick, which was huge when we were middle school. Everybody walked around singing Lottie Dottie, which was just fantastic. And they kind of take the chorus from that. The other one, though, was interesting because when I was growing up and we had that huge piece of furniture in the living room that had the album stacked on the side and you lifted it up and there was the turntable and everything. My parents had an album by Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Absolutely.
And so Herb Alpert's song Rise is a lot of Hypnotize. Especially the kind of the horn sound in there. It's not really a horn, it's a keyboard in this, but when you listen to it, you cannot not hear Herb Alpert all the way through. And I love that song. I was never the hugest, the biggest Biggie fan because I was more of the Tupac in that whole battle. But there are a couple of songs I love, and Hypnotize is fantastic. So that's why I chose it.
There you go.
Good call. One thing I want to say about sampling too that I left off the list, but because it's not really sampling an artist, but I was watching a thing of Trent working on a soundtrack and just like hitting a hammer on top of something that had a cloth on it, you know, and recording it. And that's pretty meticulous sampling to build your own library of sounds. But I don't know if that constitutes sampling. So
that's more of like a Foley artist for music.
Yeah.
Come up with this. I love it though. How fun is that, you know?
Yeah, I think, you know, just like people like us that, you know, I think we're a little more than casual music fans, but especially for casual music fans, you talk about sampling. I think most people think of like taking pieces of songs and, you know, dropping them in somewhere.
Okay. That's fair. I wanted you boys' opinion on how we're defining that. So,
well, you could have done anything because I left the parameters wide open.
I mean, I cheated, so.
Yeah, but I agree. That is more.
Is Clown hitting a keg sampling?
No, because he does it live.
All right, never mind. Fine. No, yeah. So, do we have a challenge for next week?
I don't think so.
I blame you, Tony.
Okay, fair enough.
Somebody's at fault.
So
I don't have anything on the list. So
we don't always have one when we're doing the show.
This is true. All right, gentlemen, we have an EP of 4 songs from Aphex Twin, and the titles couldn't be any stranger.
Yeah.
Blackbox Life Recorder 21F, Zen 2 Test 5, Inner Room 7 F760, and then the Parallax Mix for Blackbox Life Recorder. Excuse me, fellas.
Bless you.
Keep talking while I'm sneezing, if you would, please.
I feel like that's
couldn't hit
rude or something.
I couldn't hit my thing fast enough. Anyway, so do we want to give Paul's breakdown first, or do you guys want to talk about it and then we'll hit it with the person who actually knows what's going on?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would like to say something before we get into that.
Absolutely. Let's hear it.
I just feel like, I mean, first of all, this is 4 songs, so it wouldn't, well, it's 3 songs and a remix technically. So I don't know. I mean, we wouldn't have had a ton to say anyway, but this kind of music is, it sits in this weird pocket for me because I don't dislike this. A lot of it is like, I mean, it's pleasant. It's calming. There's nothing super crazy or hard or weird on this. The Zen 2 Test 5, like it sounds a little bit of an old school feel to it, kind of in a weird way. But there's just not a lot here for me personally to sink my teeth into. Like, I can listen to this, I can enjoy it, but I don't know exactly what he's doing. Like, I don't know what machines he's using. I don't know how he's manipulating those sounds, you know, what he's using to manipulate those sounds. I have none of that knowledge.
Right.
So I don't, and there are no lyrics. So there's not really a whole lot to hang my hat on here for me. That said, I like it. I just don't know what to say about it.
I know. I feel like that perfectly describes what I was trying to get at earlier too. Was like, it's just, there's no way to really say that I don't like it. And I listened to it, and honestly, if it like came up in my rotation while I'm working, it wouldn't be like something that's grating and I need to turn that off.
Oh my God, I got to skip that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I just think that this is my personal opinion. There's been such a advancement, for lack of a better term, in how music can be produced and made and how many people can do it from the time that Aphex Twin was this like, wow, that's super crazy what he's doing, to this might just be something you're pushing a key on. And, you know, and like you said, I don't know what clearly he knew he had masterful skill doing what he's doing. I just don't know what it takes. Like you don't, without lyrics. And then for me, there was just not enough change too. Like,
yes, a lot of it sounded similar. I will agree with that.
Yeah. So like, I mean, we opened up with Paul's music, you know, with this, and like, I love watching what Paul's putting out on TikTok and stuff like that. And I'll get something different, you know, with Paul, you know, and I know what he's doing. I see him with the knobs and all of the things, but he'll throw that guitar on top of there and it just hits you. And so, I think this was just a little middle of the road for me. I'm a little ignorant to it all. I'm a little older. I don't listen to so much of that type of music anymore. So it's just a blend of just sitting in the same spot you're at, Jeremy, with like, don't dislike it, don't love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve.
Well, so when I'm at work, a lot of times I'll put on lo-fi. Like there's different ones, you know, like these Naruto ones that have like a little Asian flair, and lo-fi plays in the background. It's not distracting, but soothing, enjoyable as you're working. If I listen to this, it falls into that category. But for me, if I'm really wanting to enjoy and listen to music, that's bad. Like if it just blends with the background, then that's not for me a good thing.
Yeah,
So
I see that. I
put on noise canceling headphones to really lock in. And it was okay. You know, it was better, but I had to make myself sit and listen. You know, I would not gravitate to this ever. And I think where I enjoyed it more before, like a song like Window Licker has personality.
Yes.
These songs have no personality.
I agree.
They sound very stiff, very mechanical, very cold. And I don't feel like there's enough interesting elements going on here. You just got the fast-paced beat in all of them, and then there's some little elements that kind of hit some high notes here and there. But it didn't really grab me in any way that good or music that I enjoy would grab me. Yeah. It's just blends to the background. So
that said, if we did have that knowledge that I was talking about of how this is made, I think it would be a completely different story.
I still think it's so electronic that it wouldn't matter for me.
Yeah. Well, there's
but I mean, I'm saying like if you make this kind of music, you're listening to it and you're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I see what he did there. Oh, I like that bit. I like, you know what I mean? Like you can break it down a little more.
I just don't think this is interesting. I think you and Tony could probably sit down with GarageBand and pick songs and make something similar. I'm not being mean. For me, there's just no personality to it. It sounds very much.
Yes.
Yeah. I get it.
You know what
now,
I mean?
in fairness to the artist, we don't know what theme he's going for, but clearly by the titles, it's kind of cold and, you know, I mean, there's nothing there that makes you think you're going to get some sort of like warm human connection.
But does it put you in a mood, or does it do something for you? Like, we know art should move you in some way, no matter what kind of art it is. And musically, I mean, I like a lot. There's a couple of things I don't like, but in general, I can handle all kinds of different stuff as long as it moves me in some way.
Yeah.
This just did not move me at
That's
all.
what I said. Like, I feel like this is just kind of, it's just pleasant. It's just there. It's just kind of soothing and calming. Like, it's not, it doesn't really evoke much for me, you know.
Yeah. Well, for me, I will say, if I get noise canceling headphones on, it's Friday or Saturday night, and I can sit outside, look at the stars, and put this on. I may feel different. My environment might have some sort of influence on how much I enjoy this, you know. But
see, if I was doing that, I already have an instrumental playlist that's many different types of instrumental music that are not this. I would not gravitate to this. I think if this came on, like you said before, I wouldn't rush to be skipping a song, but like, yeah, this is not what I would reach for.
I will say, with headphones on, floating in a pool, it was better than sitting in my office.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, I could say the same thing for Neil Young. If I'm not at work, he sounds a little better. So
if the volume's not up, he sounds way better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My batteries are low. I'm not at work. Yeah. So,
and I don't want to discount what he does. It's just, this just isn't for me. It just,
I mean, he's made music that I think we all can agree we've enjoyed. So it's not, we're not hating on Aphex Twin at all. It's just
this one is not.
Yeah, this one missed the mark for us. That's you know, you like what you like.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I said. It just, this lacks personality. But Paul, who is our resident expert when it comes to synth and making this type of music, the maestro who gave us the video at the beginning, which did have mood and effect that felt good. He said that the first one, Blackbox Life Recorder, which in my mind was probably the best of the bunch, right? I enjoyed it more than the other ones personally. Yeah. He said it's rich with busy drum machine sequences and breaks and minimalist synth parts. The pads and bass perform in a loop along with the drum parts, and the foreground synth melody seems to be more freeform. Although the tonal portions are not nearly as busy as the rhythms, they have a full blend of chordal harmony, adding a bit of prettiness and calm amongst the chaos. So,
okay.
See, that's, I think, like, all of the technical stuff, sure, whatever you say, buddy. Yeah. But like, I picked up on the calm and the, like, you know, I get that part, but I don't, all the technical stuff, I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, you said that earlier. Somebody that makes that music would hear it
right. So. Yeah. That's called foreshadowing, Tony.
Which one did you guys like best out of the three?
I kind of like the Zen 2 Test 5 just because it had a little bit of a old school techno feel. And it wasn't completely that, but I picked up on a couple of things that just made it sound kind of almost like early 90s techno-ish.
What about you, T-Bags?
I liked the first track, the Blackbox Life Recorder, whatever, 21F. Well, and I don't know if it was just, you know, it was fresh, so it was the first thing I was hearing.
Could be, yeah. I don't know. Paul says that the track 2 is another classic Aphex vibe. I really like the tight drums in this one with the bass part. And now this is my favorite part of his review. The bass is rubbery from filtering, and it melds nicely with the groove. I did not pick up on the rubbery bass, but I love it. Mid-section breakdown is good. These titles are also common with Richard's work, as it seems he likely performed several takes of jams and titles them accordingly, and picks the ones he likes best for public consumption. And then he says, I could be all wet, but that's what I speculate. It's as good a guess as any. I mean, for how these titles came about. So, did you guys pick up on the rubbery bass?
It was not in my notes.
I'm sure I heard it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Paul really dug the third one. I did not enjoy the third one as much. Did you guys?
Yeah.
So he maybe it's because now Paul says it's the most melodic of the bunch. maybe when we're listening to techno, we don't always go for the melody as much. I don't know.
Maybe
But he
so.
really dug it. It was good, fast-paced beat, lots of varying synths to provide some background, foreground, and variety to the mix. Richard tends to like having busy elements paired with other more simplistic textures. And I definitely heard that because you get a lot, like you got a very busy beat in the background, and then there's some slow things that maybe that's how he produces that calm effect, even though the beat is snappy. Good catch on Paul's part there. The flip from busy rhythms to synths is a nice touch. That's what he says.
Okay, Paul.
See, that like reading his stuff, it just makes me kind of want to go back through it. It's short enough that I wouldn't mind doing that.
I would read that more like but if I do that, it's going to be more of a scientific approach where I might, yep, but I still don't think it's going to make me feel it. And that's my problem with it.
I mean, that's fine, but it just gaining this knowledge from someone who has it, then like I feel like maybe I can apply it and understand more of what's going on. It may not change how I feel about it, but it might be interesting.
Yeah,
sure.
That is true. And I don't have anything against, I mean, like we've said, we like what he's done in the past. He's definitely very skilled at what he's doing, but still has to grab you. Number 4, this is the Parallax mix, which he already had me with Parallax. I'm a Green Lantern fan, but a good old different version to end the EP with. A lot more reverberated, contrasting drum parts from the first version. I'll have to go back and thoroughly listen to both when time allows, as I'm not sure if it's a different part or we just landed at a different starting point in the mix from the previous version. Stays pretty consistent with not much change, but great to have in the background while working.
Yeah, there you go.
And I agree
Which
with
we
that.
all kind of touched on.
Yeah. It really does kind of fit that vibe. Those lo-fi mixes are great. I love working with those things on. So this definitely would fit that for sure. So Paul gives it a 3.5 out of 5. That's his. He will definitely listen again. And he thinks, and I think he kind of agrees with us here. He says that Aphex Twin certainly was more ambitious in the beginning and had more memorable musical moments than this record has. And he mentions Donkey Rhubarb and Window Liquor, which we've talked about.
Yes.
They tend to be more with improvisation and nature. And he said, but nonetheless, the live experience is still something to behold. So seeing a guy on stage doing this would probably be something else.
Yeah, true.
Teabags, what do you give it?
I sat so much in the middle of the road that I would initially give it a 2.5, but given Aphex Twin and respect for him as an artist, I'd probably bump it up to 2.75. And I will go back and give it a listen against, using Paul's notes, but yeah, so 2.75 for me.
Okay, Mundy.
I'd probably be around that same range, 2.5 to 2.75. Like I said, it's not something that I'm going to put on, terribly much. I might go through it again with all these notes and see if I can, grab something out of it. But I didn't hear anything of these 4 songs that I immediately then added to my instrumental playlist. So
yeah.
But 2.5, 2.75, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Stevie.
I'm gonna go with a 2 because I'm middle of the road.
Okay.
Well, no, 2.5 is middle of the road. God, I can't do math apparently.
Let's go.
But I guess I'm not gonna go at 2.5 because I feel a little underwhelmed. I guess maybe my expectations are exceeding and kind of coloring what I'm saying here, but I expected more. I wanted to feel something, and I did not feel anything from these. So I'm going to go with the 2. Okay. And it's likely that I won't listen again. If I'm going to listen to Aphex, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to listen to some of the older stuff that I enjoy more.
Fair enough.
We're done with the review, correct?
We are.
Okay, so before we get out of here, in Paul's notes that he sent a couple of
Yes.
answers to the challenge that we didn't get to. So if we want to like knock those out real quick, I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, hit 'em.
So his first one was he went Beastie Boys 2, but he went Looking Down the Barrel of a Gun, which is a fantastic song.
Forgot about that track.
Couple of samples he mentioned was Last Bongo in Belgium from the Incredible Bongo Band, and Mississippi Queen from Mountain are both sampled in that song. And his other challenge answer was Daytona 500 from Ghostface Killah featuring Raekwon and Capadonna, in which they sample Lady in My Life from Michael Jackson and Nautilus from Bob James, which he says is the main hook. And he also says Bob James is one of the most sampled artists in hip hop. WhoSampled.com shows 1,714 samples used.
Wow.
With Take Me to Mardi Gras taking the lead, and it's been used 471 times.
So he's the most ever sampled artist?
That's what it says.
Wow.
It says Peter Piper by Run DMC may be one of the most recognizable, and they also use Nautilus from Bob James.
Cool.
That's a lot of sampling.
Yeah.
That is a lot of sampling. That was fun looking back at some of those songs.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when this came out, remember there was an uproar. It was almost like then it was sampling and that's stealing and then file sharing. And then, so it's always something like that. But it was controversial back in the day.
Well, when I was looking at Rhymin' and Stealing', and I mean, really, they sampled Zeppelin several times on that album. And all these articles kept popping up. I didn't read any of them, but I'm probably going to go find one where it says why Led Zeppelin did not sue the Beastie Boys because they did not get permission to use that stuff.
Because they realized how incredibly cool the Beastie Boys were.
Yeah, something.
That's the only answer that exists in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a person on the planet that is not like the Beastie Boys. Art, like professionals, people who like music, they just like are your neighbors next door, just great people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely went down the rabbit hole. I went specifically to pick which song I wanted to use off of License to Ill because I knew it was going to be one of like 2 or 3.
Right.
And just fell right down the rabbit hole. It's just you can't get out of it. Once the Beastie Boys suck you in, you can't get out.
And you have to wonder on those first albums, or the first few albums anyway, if they're just artists having fun and they don't ever think we're going to get this big, so no one's going to hear it. Let's just sample it.
And I went there first simply because we did Greta last week, and that first song, or the song that I like the most, "The Sacred the Thread," starts off with a very "When the Levee Breaks" like beat. And so it just was fresh in my mind. And so instantly when I started thinking about this, I'm like, oh yeah, Beasties took that. So
yeah, it's just that drum beat specifically that starts that album off. And I mean, immediately when we started talking about samples for this challenge, I was like, ooh, I think I might use that one.
Yeah. JPP said that sampling has happened since Gregorian chants. What is that? Motets
it's either motets or motets. No.
Motets were borrowed and modified frequently. But back in the day, there wasn't a big social media uproar for Gregorian chants that I know of. I mean, I wasn't there.
Talking about sampling, like La Sexorcisto and White Zombie came out with that album. There's so much dialogue and little bits and pieces sampled throughout that thing. They got in a lot of trouble for that because they didn't clear hardly anything, or they may not have cleared anything for that.
Yeah.
So then when they did their next album, they had to make sure they cleared everything.
Well, there was like, you can't copyright a beat. I remember like Flavor Flav yelling about that, So,
and the Downward Spiral is like full of movie samples.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how he pulled that one off, but yeah.
Well, good job, guys. Great show. We knocked it out in 45 minutes. Pretty impressive.
Sweet.
Personally, I like a more full album to talk about rather than just 4 songs. So hopefully,
Yeah,
Ministry will bring it next week.
I wouldn't mind the 4 songs if there was a little more to talk about.
True.
Yeah.
So next week, I'm not sure what day we're going to do it on, but on 8/4, Ministry has a new record. We all love Al. So I think that's a no-brainer for us to do. We got one last comment here from Props for the Quickie. Thank you, JPP.
I think that was a text to his wife.
Can I type that? I'm going to leave it up here forever.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. So anyway, Ministry.
Sent that one to the wrong place.
Yeah.
Next week. And don't forget that you can find Wanderings and Wool Gathering on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Castbox, Stitcher, SoundCloud. If you put a cup up to your ear and run a string to your neighbor's house, you can probably hear it there too. And meant to send that to Tony. Oh,
Yeah.
good one, JPP.
Yeah.
And and again, thanking our sponsors, the Kokomo Lantern. You can go to kokomolantern.substack.com and get all that information there. And the Pressing Issue, who does amazing work with comic books, Just Ask Me. I would know. At this time, they're still on Facebook with the familiar red and white logo. So the Pressing Issue, take care of all your comic book needs. And 4411 Creative Studio. Oh, Creative Agency. Sorry. Creative is their middle name. And you can go to 4411creative.com to find out more and get in touch with those great people. They will take your business to places you hadn't imagined. And finally, we're going to leave you tonight with what we started off with. And this is an album that it's coming along nicely from the Phoenix Supernova, Mr. JPP Creative. He's working on a soundtrack for a colleague's short. And he shared a little bit last night. We shared it with you as our opening tonight. And we're going to close the show off with Juno 19 from the Phoenix Supernova, Mr. JPP Creative. And here it is. And we will see you next week with Ministry.